Hello and a very warm welcome to you. You know how sometimes you can make a promise, a heartfelt vow, only to watch it unfold in a way you never ever could have predicted? Well, today we're diving into a beautiful story from the Quran that's all about that. It's about one hopeful mother's vow that sets off this incredible chain reaction of miracles, connecting the lives of two amazing figures, Maryam and John.
So that's the big question we're tackling today. How does one promise lead to two miracles? I mean, on the surface, that sounds pretty impossible, right? But as we're about to see, it's a perfect example of how divine plans work in ways that are just beyond what we can expect. So let's start from the very beginning.
Okay, so to really get a handle on the miracles that are coming, we first have to understand the sacred history they are built upon. The Quran tells us that God specifically chose certain families throughout history to carry the divine message.
So you have Adam, you have Noah, the family of Abraham, and then you have this final name which is so crucial for our story, the family of Imran. This sets up a really powerful idea, that being a prophet isn't about your status in the world. It's a divine choice, a sacred honor. And it's right inside this family of Imran that our story really gets going.
And this connection is so key. We're not just talking about a bloodline here. It was an unbroken chain of faith and righteousness. Think of it like a single golden thread of devotion to the one God, stretching all the way from the dawn of humanity, tying these chosen souls together.
And now, we go from this grand, sweeping history, and the camera zooms way in, focusing on one intensely personal, quiet moment. It's a prayer from a single woman that becomes the catalyst for everything that's about to happen. This is the wife of Imran, who we know from tradition as Hannah. While she's expecting her child, she makes this incredibly profound vow. She promises that the child in her womb will be completely, totally dedicated, consecrated to the service of God in the temple. It's an act of just absolute surrender. Now, to really understand the depth of her faith, we need to get what consecrated meant back then. In that tradition, dedicating a child to full-time temple service was an honor that was only for males. So, when Hannah made this vow, she was absolutely certain she was having a boy. But a divine surprise was already on its way. And this is where the story takes its first, really unexpected turn. The result of her vow shows us the massive gap between our human plans and divine reality. And it leads us right to our first miracle.
So remember, she made this promise with a very specific picture in her mind. Based on all the customs of the time, only a son could actually fulfill this sacred duty. For her, it was the only logical outcome.
You can just feel the shock in her voice when she gives birth. She turns to God and says, almost in disbelief, "My Lord, I've delivered a female." And when she says, "And the male is not like the female," you can hear her worry that her daughter couldn't possibly fulfill the huge vow she had just made. And this, right here, this is the heart of the entire story. God's plan wasn't just different from hers, it was infinitely bigger and better. This daughter, Maryam, was chosen for a role so unique, so special, that no son could have ever filled it. Her vow was accepted, all right, but on divine terms, in a way that was far more perfect than she ever could have imagined. And the signs of Maryam's special status started showing up early on. Her guardian, the prophet Zachariah, would come into her prayer room and find her with food, like fresh fruits that were completely out of season. And when he'd ask, "Maryam, where did you get this?" her answer was so simple and so profound. It is from Allah. This was the first miracle, a clear sign of her favor with God. But here's the amazing part. This miracle wasn't just a one-off thing for Maryam. It created this powerful ripple effect. Seeing this quiet, constant miracle of divine provision sparked a little flicker of hope in the heart of the very person who was watching over her. So this ripple effect starts with the prophet Zachariah. Here's this old man. His wife is unable to have children, and it's been this deep, quiet sorrow in their lives. But then he witnesses God providing out-of-season fruit for Maryam, and it just clicks something in his heart. It was this tangible proof that with God, the impossible becomes possible. And in that very spot, with his hope renewed, he turned to God and made his own prayer. And wow, the response was immediate. While he was literally still standing in prayer, the angels came with the answer. And not just any answer, but the specific, wonderful news of a son who would be named John, or Yahya, a son who would be righteous, noble, and a prophet himself.
But even after getting this incredible news, his human logic kicks in. He asks, How can this possibly be? He starts listing the facts, his old age, his wife's barrenness. But the divine answer just cuts right through all of that logic. It's simple, it's absolute, and it's a lesson for all of us. Such is Allah. He does what He wills.
Now, Zechariah's faith was strong, for sure, but to really let this incredible promise settle in his heart, he asks for a sign. And just like the promise itself, the sign he gets is also a miracle.
So the sign was this: for 3 days he wouldn't be able to speak to people, except through gestures. Now, this wasn't some kind of punishment or sickness. No, it was a divine command to turn his energy inward, to focus entirely on remembering and being grateful to God, getting him spiritually ready for the amazing gift he was about to receive.
So when we step back and look at the whole picture, the lesson is just breathtaking. A mother's vow for a son led to a chosen daughter, Maryam. Her quiet miracles sparked the hope that led to a prophet's son, John. It's such a powerful reminder that true faith can open doors that our logic tells us are sealed shut.
And that leaves us with a question to think about in our own lives. When things don't go according to our plan, when we get something totally unexpected, can we find it in ourselves to trust that maybe, just maybe, a much greater plan is unfolding? It's a powerful thought to take with us. Thank you so much for joining me today.